Hello, everyone. Good morning, good day, good evening, wherever you are in the world. It's January 2nd. Yes, it is January 2nd, 2020. And as you can probably see on your Facebook feed, everyone is making New Year's resolutions. They want to bring into something into their lives. They want to start changing their lives. They have personal goals. And as I am scrolling through my Facebook feed, I see that people want to change themselves in order to feel a certain way. And most of the time, that feels like people just want to feel confident. People want to feel that they are in power, that they are in control. And I have this question for you today, it just came up to my mind this morning. How about instead of setting a goal to change yourself into something, to change yourself a certain way, to have a goal about changing oneself, how about we're going to give ourselves a gift of no longer giving a damn about other people's opinions? What if we stop caring what they think about us? We stop caring about their judgments of us, and we stop gauging our growth and who we are against their expectations. And instead, we came back to ourselves, putting up those two middle fingers up in the air and saying, I will no longer give you power to judge me like that. And I will no longer subscribe to this idea that I have to change myself in order for you to like me. How about doing it in a very harmonious way? Not in a brash way, not very aggressively, not with this rebellion that you might have felt when you were a teenager. How about we just going to do it harmoniously? Coming back here to our body and giving ourselves the relief and the release of needing to morph and change ourselves in order for others to accept us. And constantly wondering if what I am doing is okay. Is it acceptable? Am I looking the way that is going to make other people like me? Am I behaving in a way that's going to make other people like me? Saying yes to others so they stay in our life. Giving our time, energy, and attention away in order to keep people in? What if we stopped doing that? This is just an idea. Of course, this is not going to happen right now in this moment. But let's entertain that idea that we stopped caring about what others think about us. You know, when you were a child and you were playing and you were doing whatever you wanted to do, creating whatever you wanted to do, making up stuff and painting and dancing and saying whatever you wanted, with this, I'm going to explore myself, with this feeling of not caring about, this was an exploration, an expression of who you are. And maybe in that moment, a parent said something, a friend didn't like what you're doing, people started judging you. And from this place, from this time in your life, you started doing things for their approval, so they like you and include you. But the need to express yourself as you are is still there. There's still an amazing and fantastic person here inside. And what stops us from expressing that is that fear of not being approved. What if we started approving ourselves first? What if we look for that in our life? Instead of thinking, do they like me? Is what I did wrong? Is what I did right? Am I saying the right thing? Having that flutter in a chest whenever you walk into a room full of people, wondering if they're going to accept you? How about coming back here and getting to know who you really are? Who you really are when people don't see. Who are you really? What gifts and talents do you really have? And how are you putting this veil of socially acceptable me in order to fit in into those little tight containers that the social life puts on us? How about we do that? Could it be possible? You don't need to know how you're going to do that. You don't need to know when you're going to achieve it by. But is it something that you would like to do? Finally be myself? And from that place of knowing yourself, being yourself, no longer walking on eggshells, no longer caring about approval from people who don't really know you, coming back to you. And from that place, letting the confidence, the true confidence, grow and shine through. Because you know who you are. You know your values. You know what matters in your life to you. You know yourself. You're coming back to your needs. You then are able to recognize what is it that you need to do in your life. Because you can finally start listening to yourself. No longer giving away the power to others to price tag you. And this is exactly what I am teaching and showing you how to do in my coming to yourself, back to yourself program. In that program, we are dissolving and resolving the emotional trauma that you have endured during your lifetime and maybe even inherited from your ancestors, your mom, your grandmother, and how they valued themselves against other people. You no longer have to feel this constriction and fear when you are expressing yourself. You no longer have to feel the fear of being yourself, of speaking up, being visible. You no longer have to live using the coping mechanisms that you have developed back then when you did not have those emotional resources, like confidence, for example. You know, I was telling you a story about a child being talked at when a child is expressing his or herself. You're being too loud. Oh, you're being silly. Go back to doing homework. You are bothering me. You know how it feels, right? Everybody experienced that in their life at some point. What if we removed, dissolved, erased that emotional distress that you felt back then, so you can freely, without forcing yourself, come back to being you? Emotional trauma release, it's at the core of my program. And that is because forcing yourself in any way, shape, or form to change is what you have been doing your entire life. And it hasn't worked. It is not working. It doesn't feel expansive. It feels constrictive, just like diets do. So emotional trauma release helps you come back to yourself. Come back to that state of having emotional resources, of having the knowing, again, of who you are, and from that place bloom and be who you are, not what magazines, TVs, doctors tell you need to be. What if you already are who you need to be? What if you already are the best version of yourself right now in this moment? But we gave that power away because of social norms, body image issues, what is acceptable, what isn't, the need to be superior, and the feeling of being inferior and comparison. What if the perpetual state of victimhood that we women are in whenever we are going anywhere, doctor's office, our friend's house, whenever we are open a magazine, looking at the billboards, they are telling us who we need to be, how we need to look like to be acceptable. I am calling that bullshit today. How about we do that instead of another goal of forming ourselves so we are socially acceptable, so we are then included in the elite? What we will form our own elite based on values, harmony, fulfilling ourselves, sharing and living from a place of truth, from a place from your heart, instead of this fear of whether or not I'm going to be discovered as fraud, how long and how hard I have to work for approval. You no longer have to do that. You are under no obligation or contract to do that. If you would like to gently release yourself from that contract, if you feel you're still subscribing to these ideas, drop me a line, send me a message, and let's book a call together so we can talk about the details on how it's being achieved inside my program. I am inviting you in, and if you have any questions, as always, drop them in the comments below, and I am here to answer them. Have a wonderful week, the beginning of 2020, and I wish you all the best. Thank you so much.